New Mexico. A land of endless deserts, striking mesas, and a deep, ancient history. A place where the sun burns hot, and the wind carries secrets from a time long past. The dry air, the cracked earth, they seem to hold something otherworldly beneath their surface. It's the kind of place that, at first glance, feels timeless, unchanging. But beneath the sun-soaked sky, within the dry winds and the cracks of the earth, there lies something far darker. Something that has haunted the Navajo people for centuries. Something ancient and evil that will not rest. Tonight, we delve into one of the most terrifying legends in Native American folklore. A creature so powerful, so evil, it is said to have the ability to shapeshift into the very creatures that walk among us. From coyotes to wolves, bears to birds, nothing is beyond the reach of this creature. Tonight, we uncover the truth behind the Skinwalkers, and why their evil is feared even to this day. But be warned. Once you hear these stories, you may never look at the desert the same way again. You may never trust the shadows that move just outside the light. 1. The Desert of the Skinwalkers. The Navajo Nation spans over 27,000 square miles of the southwestern United States, a land of sweeping deserts, endless skies, and jagged mountains. But this land is not just home to the Navajo people, it is a sacred land, steeped in spiritual significance. For centuries, the Navajo people have maintained deep ties to the spiritual world, governed by strict beliefs, ceremonies, and practices. Among the most sacred of these is the power to heal, and, as the Navajo believe, the power to curse. But there is one legend that stands above all others. A creature so feared, so evil, that it is whispered about only in the darkest hours. A creature known as Lushi, or more commonly, a skinwalker. To become a skinwalker, one must commit the ultimate sin, a crime so heinous that it binds their soul to the darkest forces imaginable. To become a skinwalker, one must take the life of a family member. This sacrifice transforms the individual into something not entirely human. They gain the ability to shapeshift into any animal they desire, a wolf, coyote, owl, or even a bear. The skinwalker is not simply an animal in disguise. It is a thing of pure malice, driven by a lust for power and destruction. And this is where the terror begins. Imagine walking alone under a full moon. The cold desert air biting at your skin, the landscape empty except for the distant silhouettes of jagged rocks and scattered sagebrush. Then, you hear something. The unmistakable sound of footsteps. Heavy, dragging. You freeze, your heart pounding, a chill crawling down your spine. You turn, your eyes scanning the darkness. But you see nothing, only the swaying shadows of the desert night. And then you hear it again, closer this time. The sound of claws scraping across the earth, the unmistakable gait of something that moves like a predator. You can feel its eyes on you, even if you can't see it. In the Navajo legend, it is said that the skinwalker's eyes glow with an unnatural light, a piercing, unsettling red or yellow glow that cuts through the darkness like a predator's gaze. Some say that once you lock eyes with a skinwalker, you can never look away. You are drawn in, paralyzed by fear, trapped in its gaze. One man, a traveler passing through the Navajo reservation, stopped to rest in a remote area known for its skinwalker sightings. As he sat in his car, he heard something outside, scratching at the door. His heart raced, and his hands trembled as he turned the key to start the engine, but then he froze. There, just beyond the window, was a figure, a creature walking on two legs, but with the unmistakable gait of a wolf. Its fur was matted, its eyes glowing with that unmistakable light. The man's breath caught in his throat as the creature came closer. Its claws scraped against the metal of the car, dragging slowly across the surface. Then, just as quickly as it had appeared, it vanished. The man's heart pounded in his chest as the silence took over. But in the distance, he swore he could smell it, the stench of decaying flesh. To this day, locals refuse to travel through this area after nightfall. They say that the Skinwalker never truly leaves. It waits. It watches. And it is always hungry for its next victim. 2. The Skinwalker Ranch. In the Uinta Basin of Utah, amidst the isolated expanse of the American West, lies one of the most infamous sites for paranormal activity, the Skinwalker Ranch. A place where unexplained phenomena and terrifying encounters have become commonplace. For years, the ranch has been the site of strange lights in the sky, unidentified creatures lurking in the woods, and cattle mutilations that have left even the most seasoned investigators baffled. But locals and those who've spent time on the ranch say the activity is not just paranormal in the traditional sense. They believe something far darker, something related to the Skinwalkers, haunts the ranch, feeding off the fear of anyone who dares enter. The ranch gained widespread attention in the 1990s when the Sherman family moved in. They thought they had found the perfect piece of property to raise their children. But as the days passed, they began to experience strange occurrences that escalated quickly, lights that moved in patterns across the sky, animals that would vanish into thin air, and creatures that defied logic and reason. One evening, while investigating the ranch, a group of paranormal researchers set up cameras to capture the strange phenomena they had heard about. Hours later, as they reviewed the footage, they saw something they could never explain. A large, humanoid figure walked across the field, but as it moved, it seemed to flicker in and out of existence. It was phasing in and out, as if it was slipping between dimensions. One of the investigators, curious and determined to capture more evidence, ventured toward the figure. But as he approached, the temperature around him plummeted. The air grew frigid, and an overwhelming sense of dread settled over him. The creature turned toward him, its eyes locking onto his. The figure whispered, "Leave, or you will join me in the night." The investigator ran, never looking back, his heart pounding in his chest. He later described the encounter as one of the most terrifying experiences of his life. The creature's presence, its gaze, left him feeling paralyzed with fear. And some say, after that night, he was never quite the same. 3. The ghostly howls of the Navajo Reservation. Deep within the Navajo Nation, there is a story that lingers, a story of a man who dared to seek out the Skinwalkers. His name has been lost to time, but his fate remains a haunting reminder of the power the Skinwalkers possess. The Navajo elders had warned him to turn back. They told him that the Skinwalkers were not to be trifled with, that no one should venture into the heart of the desert where their power was strongest. But like so many before him, he refused to listen. The man was driven by curiosity, by the need to understand the mystery that had eluded many for centuries. He ventured into the desert, hoping to uncover the truth. He never returned. Days later, his body was discovered near an abandoned canyon. His eyes were wide open in terror, his skin cold to the touch, and the only signs of what had happened were strange claw-like marks across his chest, marks that resembled those left by a creature far beyond human. But it was the howl that would forever haunt those who found him. A deep, agonizing cry that echoed through the canyon, carried by the wind, long after the winds had died down. One woman, a local who had known the man, told of an encounter she had weeks after his death. She was walking the same path when she heard the howl, a mournful cry that seemed to call her name. Turning, she saw a figure standing in the distance, just beyond the reach of the moonlight. The figure was tall and twisted. It looked human, but its eyes were hollow, its skin stretched thin. As she stepped forward, the figure vanished into the mist, leaving only the scent of death in the air. Some believe the man's spirit is trapped in the canyon, still tormented by the Skinwalker's curse. And they say the howls still come, calling anyone who dares listen. You've now heard the stories of the skinwalkers that haunt the desert, the cursed ranch, and the restless spirits trapped in the shadows. These legends, rooted in the darkest corners of the Navajo Nation, continue to haunt the land, feeding off fear and the unknown. So we ask you, would you dare to walk the path of the skinwalkers? Would you step into the shadows, knowing that the line between life and death is razor thin? Let us know in the comments which of these stories terrified you the most. If these tales sent a chill down your spine, give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who loves a good scare. Subscribe to Ghostly Tales and hit that notification bell so you never miss another journey into the shadows. Until next time, sleep well, if you can.